about you?
Shall I go?
Yeah, you have a more well-rounded
So we had
career.
Again, very different paths, but we ended up at the same place, so it didn't matter. So after college, in college, I had a lot of things. I was a double major in marketing and international management and a minor in psychology. So it's like, all right, well, I can do something with that maybe.
That's a lot of a lot of areas of...
Yeah, somehow it wasn't hard to do all that though. It somehow just fit in. Anyhow, so I really wanted to get into games, so I went to school on the East Coast and I came back, I was like, all right, this is the place to be, the Bay Area, because there were so many gaming, more so than there are now even. There were so many gaming companies concentrated there, you name it. So I was like, I'm just gonna, live at mom and dad's house for a while and just apply to all these jobs at all these gaming companies. Kind of like you, but really spreading it around everywhere. And I was like, I don't really care, which one it is. I just want to get in
and get some experience.
And then I felt like, it would take care of itself from there once I was able to prove myself. So, obviously applied to all the big ones like EA, Capcom, all these big ones. Didn't really get any traction with those. But I got a call back from a very small PR agency one day. Now their name is called Triple Point Communications. Previously they had a different name. You can look them up, Triple Point. And I remember I was doing the interview from my bedroom, and my mom totally busted in midway. It's such a mom move. Kiddos, how's it going? I was like, kiddo.
Mom, I'm busy.
Yeah, Mom, I'm interviewing for a job. Go away.
On, Mom.
Gosh.
At least
Bring me some juice, please.
There wasn't video conference back then. So
No, it was just a phone call.
So at least you didn't see Mom bursting through the door.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like Mom is all over in the background of your video conference.
So I ended up getting that job. Again, it's a very small company. I think there were maybe 7. So I was like the 8th employee. I was the first male employee. It was all women at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Which was cool. And I was the office assistant.
Yes.
Which is like you're everybody's lackey. You're working the front desk. You're picking up the phones. You're paying the bills.
You're like passing the mail out. All that stuff.
I was
Did
making.
you make coffee?
No. I was making $28,000 a year in that job, which is nothing.
That was my salary when I started Nintendo.
But it was, that kind of work I was not good at. It was like I aspire, because I think it was because I aspire to do more than this, but I need to show that I can handle this absolute basic stuff.
Assistant level stuff.
Right,
which I was
frankly really bad at that.
Really?
But I think I eventually was able to show he's got some skills that we could apply to these clients that we have. So I kind of very quickly moved into some roles that I was not qualified to have at all. I think that was kind of a blessing and a curse of a small company like that, where I was going on these pitches to get new business.
Oh man,
which was like
that's like high pressure stuff for a kid out of college.
Like you have to nail like these presentations and be sharp and answer questions. But I was also like leading these big accounts. Like so, we had like the Namco account, which is how I started my relationship with them, which I eventually went to go work with them. I was leading that when I was like 22 or 3, which I absolutely should not have been doing.
Like, who's this kid?
I shouldn't have been doing that.
Kidding, no.
No, that was crazy. Like,
but that was really smart that you were able to get into a small agency like that, because you're able to have these kinds of opportunities. I think if you were at a bigger place that was more established, like you probably would have been the office assistant for much longer, right?
It's the same thing with you, where like I didn't really know what PR was necessarily. I was like, I guess you do something with the media. I don't know.
There's a lot of writing involved.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is in game marketing, so I'll give it a shot. I think I had imagined like, I'll go into advertising or something like that. I mean, it's just like traditional. It's like
when you think about marketing, what do you think it is when you were 22, right? That's.
Right.
You don't know.
So I remember on my first day, somebody took me around. Again, all the game magazines were concentrated in San Francisco, and we just went boom, boom, boom. We hit them all up.
Oh, that's so
And one day
cool.
was like GamePro, EGM, computer gaming, where you like you name them. IGN, GameSpot.
Just go down Second Street.
Yeah, basically, we just went to all of them, and it was like, meet Kit. He's the new guy around. It was like, it was such a perfect like crash course into making these relationships with people that we still know.
Yeah.
And work with.
I never had that experience until you came to Nintendo.
Oh.
You were like my link to games media, because no one wanted to talk to me. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
so I do think that path. I don't take it the wrong way. I think it's better.
I think so too.
To get that experience in kind of like really getting your hands dirty.
I think so too.
Because as a place like Nintendo, it's like it's a bigger company. You don't have to do as many things.
Yeah, and that's why it was really great when you came to Nintendo like soon after I started, because I was still early enough in my career where I really wanted to learn those kind of basic things and build those personal relationships. Nintendo also works with an agency.
Right.
So, and a lot of companies
like so many other
that's like another thing that maybe people don't know. Like Nintendo outsources a lot of their, PR and that's like a very common thing in the industry, very standard. But you do lose like a skill set a little bit. Yeah, you could come to rely on the agency a lot.
So, over time I was doing this, and I kind of came to really dislike the like new business nature of it.
Yeah, that's more like salesy.
It was such a slog. It was like you're always looking ahead of like, how can we add more? And it was like, oh, if we add more, then I need to be doing this in this 8-person company. I'm kind of like at my limit already. Yeah. So that kind of push and pull I didn't love. But again, there were so many like cool opportunities there. Like, we just randomly happened to work with Irrational Games, who is the developer that went on to make the BioShock games.
Right.
And I remember one day in this tiny office, it was just like, oh, Ken Levine just walks in and he's just shooting the breeze while he's waiting for a flight. And I was like, oh my gosh, he was kind of like a nobody then, but it's like looking back, like, wow, we just had
everyone rose.
People just passing through.
Everyone leveled up.
Yeah, people passing. I mean, when you work in PR, you do end up getting to know a lot of people. And you make a lot of contacts because that's kind of the nature of the job. So anyway, I really decided like, all right, I've tried the agency life. Maybe not for me. I really want to go in-house and work directly at one of these companies. Mm-hmm. And again, I'd been working with Namco at the time, and one day they took me aside and said, hey, we'd actually like to hire you for this open position.
That also happens a lot.
And I was like, oh, well, that's perfect, because that's exactly what I want to do. I really love working with Namco. I love the people. I love the games. I was so excited about this. And I had a conversation with the folks back at the agency the other day, and they're like, you actually can't do that. That's you signed
it like that document where it's like you can't be poached.
Right. And maybe I don't know, maybe they had some stern words for Namco after that because it didn't come up again. I was crushed. I was so crushed because I was like, oh, this is just the kind of thing that I've been wanting.
Yeah. Ended up there anyway.
Eventually. But I ended up moving on to Konami after that.
Right. Which was not their client.
No, it was not their client, but I had, again, made a relationship with the person who started to work over there.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened. So maybe we'll stop my story there. We can tell more of my story and my path later. But just as far as breaking in, that's how I did it.
Yeah, and I think that the way that you did it is really great for setting a better foundation than the way I did it. I think for me, it was more so like, once I got into Nintendo, it was like I had to work backwards almost to understand like who are the people working like outside of Nintendo that I need to know, like editors and eventually the creator side too. Like that was all like traditionally taken care of by the agency, and so you're like one step removed almost, which I don't like. And you and I both talked about this before. Like we really wanted to like be not one step removed. We wanted to have a direct relationship with these people. We wanted to like for them to get to know us. It was really important to us. So I think when you come from the agency side, you do get that like right away, which is really important. So that is an interesting way in. I've seen a lot of people break in that way as well through the agency. But yes, you have to be careful of the no poaching clause. There's people that have done that thing where they go to an agency, build the relationships, hone their skill set, go somewhere else in like an in-between job, knowing that they'll go to their final in-house job.
But then there are people who love working at an agency. Like so many of the people that we worked with, have been there for forever and a long time and are great. Yeah. And that's just what they were meant to do. So I'm certainly not disparaging that. Just for me, it wasn't quite what I was looking for.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to get in-house, the agency is a good stepping stone. But if you wanted to stay in the agency and just work on like a whole bunch of different accounts and have access to lots of different video game brands, like that's another cool way too.
Yeah, and the person who hired me at Triple Point, she's still there. Yeah. She's some big wig there, so.
Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm. It works all different ways.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it happened, and then And then more things happened that we'll talk a lot more things happened that we'll talk about later.